we all know that Biden has been kind of fighting tooth and nail with the Supreme Court lately, especially after they passed that whole immunity bill for presidents. He wasn't a big proponent of it. I'm still on the fence with it just because I can understand it, but I do feel like it just will create even more issues with presidents trying to exercise over and above what they should be performing, if you will, and then getting away with it just because they have that immunity. So I understand the the fight against it and the reasoning for opposing it. So, like I said, I mean, we'll just kind of have to see how that plays out going forward. But now Biden has been calling, as you can see there, for major Supreme Court reforms, including term limits at Civil Rights Act event on Monday. And honestly, when it comes to term limits, I agree because some of the people that serve in the Supreme Court should not be there anymore. Like there needs to be a stint of time that they serve and then they need to get out. I think that especially because a lot of them are super old and frankly they have no idea what's going on anymore. I mean they do a decent enough job, I suppose, but they're just in there way too long. I mean even it's ironic coming from Joe Biden, who's been serving in the public for like 50 years now. But anyway, he's definitely been in there way too long, too. He needs to just retire on a beach somewhere. I mean, really, he needs to get away, which it sounds like he's taking that route now that he decided to step down. At least I think so. I mean, there's some people saying that that wasn't a real report, but as far as I know, that was a real report. He is stepping down, which good on him for doing because he needs to. He's just getting really old. He's just getting really old, and frankly, he's not there anymore. I mean, it's evident. Anybody who tries to oppose that view is just wrong. It says President Joe Biden is set to call for major Supreme Court reforms on Monday, according to the White House official. A move that would make him the first sitting president in generations to back seismic changes to the way the nation's highest court operates. And while I'm definitely not somebody who is a proponent of Joe Biden even remotely, I do agree that there needs to be some changes. What changes need to be made? Well, the one that I really am a proponent of is the term. I mean, serving for life. I don't know. It just is not my personal opinion. Of course, it's not it. It's just really not it when you think about it. I mean, these people are in there for so long. You just can't help but get to your head. I just don't feel like they perform as well as they used to just because they're getting older in age. And frankly, this life term is just. I understand from the standpoint of that's the one job they need to focus on for the rest of their life, which, I mean, seems reasonable, seems like a good gig, honestly, but it can lead to some problems, I think, when you just are stuck in that position for so long. You kind of don't adapt anymore, especially just how a lot of people operate. They stay in like one point of view and never change. Where obviously, in some instances, that is needed. Society changes and you kind of have to change and update with that. I mean, let's be real. I'm not even sure most of the people in the Supreme Court even have a minuscule idea of how the internet operates. And so we're not seeing any laws that would help the younger generations with using and maintaining the internet because, I mean, let's be real. There should be more laws in place or something to help younger people with not being able to get access to what is the internet. I mean, obviously they'll still get access to it because it's the internet. But I think making it more reasonable for people who are like of age, anybody below 18, we'll just say for instance, because this is my opinion anyway. Anybody below 18, they don't need to have social media. I mean, that's just people who are on like 13 years old on social media. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are the parents letting kids on that early? I don't know. So that's what I mean. Like, when you have people in there for life, I just don't feel like they are changing with the times and as rapidly progressing, if you will, that society is at this point with just technology and AI. These people have no idea what's going on, and there needs to be some kind of cycle where they step down and new people come in. I mean, that just needs to be how it is. My opinion, of course. It says White House officials said Biden will call for an amendment dubbed the "No One is Above the Law" amendment, which will state the Constitution does not confer any immunity from federal criminal indictment, trial, conviction, or sentencing by virtue of previously serving as president. Yeah, when I read this, I think my interpretation would be anybody who has served just gets immunity for the rest of their life, which I don't think is a good idea. If it means that even after they're out of it, anything that they do beyond that point provides immunity. Now, if this means that the immunity is provided for acts that they made in presidency and that carries once they're out of presidency, that I could get more behind, because I mean, if you served as president and made those calls, if you will, you should be kind of immune to those effects after. Granted that it's not something super like, okay, that was just an abuse of power, which also brings into account like, well, who determines the abuse of power? What is the abuse of power? So that's my two different viewpoints on that. Because if it's immunity from acts they made in the presidency, and those immunities carry forward after, that I could understand. But if it's just straight immunity even after they're out of the presidency, obviously that's not okay. Which I'm pretty sure it's the former that the Supreme Court voted on before. It says, and what would be another major change? Biden will also call for term limits, and that was what I was alluding to. That was my main gripe, is that they should not have lifetime appointments. We need to have people in there. I mean, even like 10, 15 years would be okay, but life term, no. Just no. We've all seen how that goes. It says the reforms, which will face heavy resistance, are meant to restore trust and accountability when it comes to the presidency and the United States Supreme Court, the White House official said. I mean, yes, I can understand what he's saying there. I mean, obviously, everybody who is voting on something obviously believes that they are doing it for the good of the country. Well, even if they're really not, they're just professing it. I mean, we'll just have to see. Because honestly, I mean, it's funny that Joe Biden is now trying to do these things on his way out. It's almost like he's trying to set this up for the possibility of Trump coming in. I don't know. Like, this whole thing is just kind of fishy for me. It says it is telling the Democrats want to change the system that has guided our nation since its founding simply because they disagree with some of the court's recent decisions, Johnson said. This dangerous gambit of the Biden-Harris administration is dead on arrival in the House. And that's alluding to Johnson there as the Speaker of the House, and the House is majority Republicans right now, or at least more Republicans than Democrats, whereas the Democrats have a slight advantage in the Senate, I believe, right now. And so that would just be the two of those opposing each other, so that would be kind of like a deadlock at that point. But I mean, I understand what he's saying. Like, there's a reason we have the laws that we do. The only gripe that I have is just the life term. I don't think that people are able to operate as well as they can for life. I mean, let's just be real, especially once they get into the like 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're just not there anymore. I mean, some people sure can still kind of maintain that, but there needs to be some kind of regular upkeep, if you will, on that. And if they are not up to date, they're not up to date in the head anyway when it comes to being able to make firm decisions and decisions that better the country, then they need to be let go. I mean, really. Take, for instance, Biden. I mean, he just needs to be out of there as soon as possible because he can't even keep up anymore. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about the Supreme Court decisions lately, and then also Biden's idea to kind of change the Supreme Court. The only real change I want to see is just the term. Other than that, I think the Supreme Court is set up just fine. I mean, what do I know though? I'm just a guy on the internet. But let me know what you guys think. And if you guys liked the video, make sure to leave a like, and I hope to see you guys around. Peace.